Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So now is listening skills assignment 5. So I will reading the answer, and my name is Lutera Surabian. There's a part 1 question for part 1, and because of so many question, I guess, so I just read the answer. So the answer is number 1 is false. Jenny Fowler introduced Net News as a weekly online radio program dealing with all matters online. Number 2, false. David Akris works as the head of an internet security company called Weblock. Number 3, false. The interview mainly discusses matters related to emails such as spam and phishing. Number 4, false. Jenny says she received about 30 to 40 spam emails that morning. Number 5, false. Jenny's spam emails covered various topics from lottery wins to purchasing inappropriate things. Number 6, false. David strongly recommend having separate personal and work email account rather than using a single account. Number 7, false. David advise internet users not to list their email address everywhere to prevent them from being harvested. Number 8, false. According to David, unscrupulous individuals are the primary collectors who harvest email addresses for personal gain or to sell to third parties. Number 9, false. David claims that email addresses can be collected automatically by software programs called spiders. Number 10, false. David explained that software programs called spiders troll around the internet, including message boards search for email addresses. Number 11, false. David suggests creating a new email account and starting over if a throwaway account is heavily targeted by spam. Number 12, false. Jenny believes creating a new account is worthwhile advice, but she notes that it may not be practical for all of her listeners. Number 13, false. David recommends employing defensive strategies such as guarding your address and using anti-spam tools rather than sending complaints to spammers. Number 14, false. David states that internet service providers will most likely have an active anti-spam filter on their users' account. Number 15, false. Spam filters generally analyze incoming message rather than outgoing message. Number 16, false. David says spam filters identify spam based on a whole list of consideration such as specific words, fonts, colors, capitalization, and formatting. Number 17, false. Excessive capitalization is considered an indicator of spam. Number 18, false. A missing return address is a quality that marks an email out to be spam. Number 19 is true, so there's nothing reason. Number 20, false. David says that email written in blue text is not automatically deleted if the message is otherwise. Number 21 is false. Spam filters usually classify a message as spam only if several suspicious factors are found to be to be present. Number number 22, false. User are often given control over the sensitivity setting of spam filter. Number 23, false. Margaret phones the program from Boston. Number 24 is false. Margaret wants to know whether anti-spam filters can help prevent her computer from being infected by a computer virus. Number 25, false. David states that many users infect their PCs by opening unexpected email attachment, which can even come from people they know. Number 26, false. David recommends never opening attachment that arrive unexpectedly to avoid virus infection. Number 27 is false. David advised computer user always to have an up-to-date antivirus program installed on their computers. Number 28 is false. David explained that phishing is pronounced the same but is spelled with a PH rather than an F. Number 29, false. David say phishing is a quite recent phenomenon rather than an ancient trick. Number 30 is true. So next, there's a question of part 2. I will answer the question. I will read only the answer. Number 1, significance of Garcia's victory. Garcia's victory is significant because it represents a total turnaround. He was knocked out in the first round last year but reached the semifinals this year. Number 2, Garcia created his improvement to changing his coach last winter, proving that strategic coaching shifts are vital for an athlete's career breakthrough. Number 3, despite losing, Gruller clearly put up a highly competitive fight, forcing Garcia to battle through for full set to win. Number 4, it is a high stakes All American match between Rod Lange and Brett Wilson that directly decides who will advance to face Garcia in the final. Number 5, sense of anticipation. The report builds anticipation by focusing on Garcia's peak form while leaving his final opponent unknown until tomorrow's dramatic match. Number 6, Baresi conquered Home court, a grueling fifth stage that required a long, steep mountain climb over 118 85, 84 miles in scorching heat to finish first. Number 7, the primary evidence is his massive overall lead. He currently leads the Tour de France by a substantial margin of over 6 minutes. Number 8, this implies that Baresi's current form is so elite that ordinary efforts won't beat him. A competitor must deliver a flawless, extraordinary performance to catch up. Number 9, severe stormy weather disrupted the schedule, delaying the tournament start until around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Number 10, Mark Chappell excelled by shooting a superb 5 under par 70, 67 to take the lead, placing him exactly 2 shots clear of both McGonagall and Connor. Number 11, it was a complete miracle where Ward shot was hitting for a leg but hit a wooden post, bouncing directly into the hole. Number 12, the description creates instant drama by shifting from where these pairs had in hands to a miraculous bounce and an explosive crowd reaction. Number 13, heavy rain and gusting winds initially favored early leader Eddie Cochran, but as the track dried, Gerd Kruger seized the advantage. Number 14, Kruger masterfully handled the shifting, unpredictable track condition to secure pole position and strengthen his world championship lead. Number 15, Cochrane is highly skilled in wet conditions since he led during the heavy rain, but his advantage faded once the track dried. Number 16, by winning pole position, Kruger secured the best possible starting slot to dominate tomorrow's main race and maximize his points. Number 17, the Chicago White Sox versus Cleveland. The reporter notes the White Sox shedded a close 4-3 win, which was the narrowest margin of the night. Number 18, Milwaukee. They cruised Pittsburgh 10-2, recording both the highest runs scored and the largest victory margin at 8 runs of the night. Number 19, individual sport are given detailed narrative focusing on human drama, weather, and errors. Team sports are reduced to a rapid non-narrative list of scores at the end. Number 20 is make a note. So, Larry Watson Evening Sports Roundup covers key highlights across 5 different events In tennis, 26 years old, Diego Garcia reached the French Open semifinals by defeating Heinz Gruller in four sets, crediting his comeback from last year's early exit to his new coach. Over in cycling, Gianfranco Baresi conquered a grueling hot 184-mile mountain climb to win stage 5 of the Tour de France, extending his overall lead to over 6 minutes. Meanwhile, stormy weather delayed the IBM Open Golf Tournament in tennis until 2 p.m., where Mark Chappell took the lead at 5 under par. The highlight of the day was an unbelievable lucky hole-in-one by underdog Rosewater. In Tokyo, Gerd Krunger secured pole position for Ferrari at Japanese Grand Prix by outperforming early leader Eddie Cochran as the rainy track dried up. Finally, the broadcast wrapped up the quick baseball victories for Milwaukee, Boston, the Chicago White Sox, Tampa Bay, and Houston. Next, part 3 is retelling story. So, years ago in China, the emperor lived in a magnificent but fragile porcelain palace surrounded by a vast, beautiful garden. Travelers and scholars worldwide praised its splendor, but they declared that a plain gray nightingale living in the nearby coastal woods was the greatest wonder of all. Upon reading this in a book sent by the Emperor of Japan, the Chinese emperor was astonished to realize he had ever heard the bird's enchanting song. He immediately ordered his court to find her. Assisted by a kitchen maid who knew the bird, the courtiers brought the Nightingale to the palace. Her sweet singing moved the emperor to tears, and she was kept at the court with limited freedom. However, everything changed when the emperor received a gift from Japan, a magnificent artificial bird covered in jewels that could mechanically sing waltzes. Captivated by its reliable performance and dazzling looks, the court grew fascinated with the mechanical toy, leading the real nightingale to fly back unnoticed to her green woods. Consequently, the emperor banished her from the empire. A year later, the artificial bird broke down internally, leaving it only safe to play once a year. 5 years passed, and the emperor fell critically, lying foul and neglect as death sat on his chest. Surrounded by his past deeds, desperate from music to drown out his fears, the emperor pleaded for the mechanical bird to sing, but there was no one to wind up. Suddenly, the real nightingale appeared at the open window. Her beautiful song of hope moved it to restore the emperor's life and fade away. Awakening and deeply grateful, the emperor ordered to destroy the toy, but the night owl refused, promising instead to return regularly to sing for him from the trees outside. That's all. Thank you.